Hi guys, welcome to Itihaskaar. My name is Kriti and today's topic of discussion is Mahmud of Ghazni. By the end of 9th century, the Abbasid Empire saw political fragmentation, which led to a set of aggressive, expansionist states being established in the region. They were independent polities but accepted the nominal suzerainty of the Caliph, who legitimized their position by granting them a formal Manshur. One such important state was the Samanid dynasty. They generously had patronized the Turks. Now, the Turks were nomads that had originally lived in places currently corresponding to Mongolistan and Xinjiang. They had been infiltrating the area of Transoxiana ever since the 8th century. And by the close of 10th century, the Turks started to assert themselves as independent rulers, following which the first Turkish dominion was founded or created by Aleptigin at Ghazna. This is the map of the Abbasid Caliphate of the 9th century, late 9th century, which is undergoing political fragmentation. A lot of states are coming up which are semi-autonomous or derive their legitimacy from Baghdad. But here is the area of Transoxiana, which was frequented by the Turks a lot. And here is where you will see Samanid Transoxiana, the Samanid dynasty has its origins here. We've got the Emirate of Sindh and above it the Emirate of Multan. While you can also see some snippets of how the Indian subcontinent is ruled by the Rashtrakutas and the Gurjar Pratiharas. And finally, this is the map of the Samanid dynasty. And over here, right next to the area of Ghor mountains, is the city of Ghazna or Ghazni, which is where Aleptigin was appointed governor. His son-in-law and slave Subuktgin began the dynasty of the Ghaznavids. He was succeeded by his slave and son-in-law Subuktgin, but the real rise began with his son Mahmud. This is also a clearer map. You can see Ghazni, the city is quite close to Kabul, and here is where Aleptigin was appointed governor. This is a bust of Aleptigin. His son-in-law and slave Subuktgin was the next ruler of this area, and he ultimately began the dynasty of the Ghaznavids. He was the founder. But his son, Mahmud of Ghazni, is the one who is famed for expanding the Ghaznavid empire. Why did the Turks become so aggressive suddenly? Historians have attributed the aggressive tendency of the Turks during these centuries due to three major reasons. There were great breed of horses at the disposal of Turks and more skilled horsemen than their Indian counterparts, a flourishing tradition of production of war materials in and around the areas of Ghor, where the mountains were rich in metals, and the growth of Ghazi spirit in West Asia. However, these Muslim Turks were quite vulnerable during this period, and some of the powerful Muslim states also could not contend successfully against the non-Muslim Turks in Central Asia. Now let's take a look at the political landscape of India at the eve of Turkish invasion. The polities of Indian subcontinent were extremely divided and fragmented. Ever since the fall of the Kushan Empire, there had been no such dynasty which could cause a larger unification. Thus, each ruler had looked out for their own principality. Moreover, there was a false sense of security as there had been no major invasions in the past 5 centuries. Albeit, there occurred the Arab conquest of Sindh, but the local neighboring kingdoms had been able to successfully stall any further Arab expansion into the Indian subcontinent. And as I have discussed in a separate video, the causes of Arab failure to retain their territory of Sindh and the reason why they couldn't expand further were multifold, and not just because of excessive local resistance. So when the local Rajput armies met the fierce Turkic dynasties, they weren't able to gauge the entirety of the situation. This is the division of states, division of power among the Gurjar Pratiharas, the Rashtrakutas, and of course the Hindu Shahis we can't forget. in 900 CE. In this map, it's clear that Hindu Shahis were the dynasty who faced the growing Ghaznavid Empire. They were the ones who were conquered and defeated, after which the Ghaznavid Empire could lay its hands on the proper Indian subcontinent. Moreover, India's rich economy at that time attracted foreign empire builders and plunderers, and so we see that during the reign of Mahmud of Ghazna or Ghazni, some real clashes occurred with India between 1000 CE to 1026-27 CE. This is a map detailing the expeditions carried out by Mahmud of Ghazni to expand his empire in what all directions and in what all years. So for example, you see Somnath expeditions were carried out in 1024 CE. Another map which describes the glory of Ghaznavid Empire. So you see Ghazni, the city from where it all began. Lahore as the capital of later Ghaznavid Empire when the Ghaznavid Empire was waning and Ghurids were expanding over here. Mathura and Kannauj cities saw expeditions towards them after 1015 CE, while Somnath again, the infamous expeditions were happening around 1024 CE. Motives of Mahmud's invasion. Here, two major theories have been propounded by early historians. First, Mahmud was an empire builder, and second, Mahmud was fighting for religion. Both of them have been rejected in later scholarship on Mahmud, as the first possible motive for expanding his empire takes note his annexation of Punjab and appointing a governor there, along with issuing coins in his name. However, in other areas that he attacked, like Gujarat, neither did he appoint governors nor did he issue any coins. Therefore, the annexation of Punjab was an exception, and it was retained only to keep the doorway of India under his own administration. So he was not really building an empire. Was Mahmud a missionary with religion at the base of his agenda? Well, he did demolish a large number of religious shrines in India, and that's well known, and he did mercilessly kill a lot of non-Muslims. But recent scholarship has suggested that religion's direct appeal to the masses might have prompted Ghazni's jihad. Bosson, a historian, his work, for example, says that in India he demolished temples, but elsewhere he also demolished mosques. So what were his motives precisely? As mercenary soldiers, slaves under the Abbasid caliphs or the Persian rulers, the motives were grossly materialistic, serving the sole purpose of accruing wealth for his own dynasty. Impact of Mahmud of Ghazna's invasion in India. Now, Mahmud of Ghazna was a forerunner of all subsequent exploiters in India. He successfully pierced the northwestern frontier. Secondly, he introduced the fabulous wealth of India to Central Asians, like Ghori, not just material but academic wealth as well, which attracted Central Asian intelligentsia, for example, Al-Baruni in later time period. Thirdly, Mahmud of Ghazni's raids were also paved way for socio-cultural and religious integration. Mahmud issued bilingual coins with Arabic and Devanagari scripts. He inscribed the first declaration of Islam in Sanskrit, Avayaktam Ekam Muhammad Avatar. As there is no concept of reincarnation in Islam, he tried to narrow the gap between the Abrahamic concept of messenger of God and the Hindu concept of incarnation of God. So all in all, in conclusion, we see that the period from 990 CE approximately to 1015 CE was that of a protracted struggle in which Afghanistan, Punjab and Multan were lost to the Ghaznavids. The Hindu Shahi dynasty faced a major offense of Mahmud. Meanwhile, India in 10th century CE saw the decay of two of the most powerful states which had dominated the polity in the preceding 2 centuries, the Gurjar Pratiharas and the Rashtrakuta. Further religious expeditions in the Ganga Valley post 1015 CE resulted in nothing of significance. All it succeeded was in making the Ganga Doab a neutral territory in which no powerful king could establish himself. After Mahmud's death, the power of Ghaznavids only waned, and after an intermission of 150 years or so, which was a period of great flux and confusion in North India, Ghurids rose to power as Itihaskaar dynasty and replaced the Ghaznavids. Hi guys, hope today's video was simple and informative. If you liked what you saw, share it with your friends and family so that learning and reading history becomes more than just a textbook activity. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.